Edu-Magicians, welcome to the Edu-Magic Podcast with your host, Dr. Sam Fessich. Dr. Sam is a professor of education, author of Edu-Magic, and a pumpkin spice latte fan. This podcast is designed for pre-service teachers. Remember, friends, teaching doesn't begin at graduation, but during that first class at 8 a.m. Let's get this party started.
Hi, I'm Dennis Sheeran.
And I'm Raymond Steinmetz from the Instant Relevance Podcast. And we're part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, Edu-Magicians. It's Dr. Sam Fessich. I'm back with you today. Today we're going to be covering student teachers, let's lead during this time of need. Now, I know there's lots of questions out there that you guys might be asking. For example, how am I going to get my hours in? Will I get certified? And the answer is, I don't know. There's a lot of questions out there, a lot of questions that don't have answers at this time. But you know what? It's okay. Let's take a breath. We're all feeling overwhelmed and anxious and nervous during this time, but we can take this time of need and really turn it into a place where we can lead. So I encourage you to do that, friends. And we're going to talk through a couple of strategies that we can do to help us lead during this time of need as student teachers, as the next generation of educators of excellence. Now, today's podcast episode is based off of a talk that Dr. Chris McGee and I prepared this afternoon for a group of over 70 future teachers on Nearpod this afternoon. It was so much fun. And I'm pulling some content from there. I'm going to post a Nearpod presentation in the show notes. You can go check that out over at sfessich.com/50, and you can see it there. But let's get started. So first, we are talking about ways you can set yourself up for success. So the first thing you need to do is you need to ask your college supervisor, what is your college university's policy or plan if the district or school in which you're working at goes online or shuts down? So what's the university's plan to get through that? And maybe there is no plan right now, but they're working on it, and that's okay. So I just encourage you to put your patient pants on because we'll all need them during this time. Now, if your school district is deciding to go online, ask your college or university to see if you can get hours teaching virtually. And if you can, this is excellent. So I want you to find out what type of learning management system your school district is using. For example, are they a Google School? Are they a Microsoft School? Are they using Schoology or Blackboard or some other LMS? If so, friends, take this time to learn that learning management system. There are tutorials out there all over YouTube. There's tutorials on the specific sites themselves. And then ask your cooperating teacher if he or she or they can add you to their class as a co-teacher. And most of these learning management systems, you can have more than one teacher, but they may need to ask their tech director or their principal to add you in. So just be patient with that. So learn the learning management system and be ready. My another tip for success for you is to communicate often with your co-op, your supervisor, and your students. If you don't already have your cooperating teacher or your mentor teacher's phone number or email address, get that now. Put it down somewhere where you're not going to forget it so you can keep in touch with them each day or throughout the week. Ask your college supervisor's email address and cell phone number and see if he or she or they will be having virtual office hours. Sometimes co-ops want to do that so they can check in with their student teachers. If they do plan to have virtual office hours or virtual practicum, please make sure you mark that on your calendar. And then also meet weekly with your co-op virtually and check in and share your thoughts or ideas. What's going on? What are you learning about? What questions you have? And just keep those lines of communication open. We want to keep those lines of communication open with our cooperating teacher and with our college supervisor virtually. We can also communicate with our students, but you need to have permission from your cooperating teacher first and use the system in which they're already comfortable with, meaning your students. Use whatever system the students are already comfortable with. So if they're using Blooms or Remind or the learning management system, use that to push out messages or content to your students. If your students if you're not using a learning management system, I encourage you to write little postcards. That's what I'll be doing for my future teachers. I want to write them all little postcards, just let them know I'm thinking of them. And I know your students would appreciate that too. If you can communicate with your students, maybe set up a schedule for content to go out every few days so you're not Monday, you're not like, oh, what am I going to say to my students today? I have a couple of ideas here for you. Maybe send a picture of you and your pet and ask them for a writing prompt. What is Cooper thinking right now? And they can, do a little writing prompt. Share what books you're reading. Or there's a fantastic website that I'm going to link to in the show notes by Pernell Ripp. She has a whole list of authors' permissions for people to read their books, or the authors are reading their books to students out there online. There's 2 rules, though. If you want to read a book to your students, you have permission by the author and the illustrator that you post it in a closed group, for example, in a closed Google Classroom, and then after this pandemic is over, that you delete it. So you can share a picture of you reading your book, or maybe share a picture of the books in your teacher library and why you're excited to read them with your students, or ask them to do some prediction. Maybe read the first few pages of a book and ask them to predict what they think is going to happen next. Share your favorite song or why, or have a shared Spotify playlist with your students, making sure that you put on the caveat, make sure songs are appropriate, and you can have students put in their favorite songs. Do a throwback picture of you and your students from the beginning of the year, from the beginning of your placement, and have them share their favorite memory of their class. A picture of you and your co-op doing something healthy, or strategies to keep a healthy lifestyle going, or how you're managing your time. For example, maybe show that you're going on a hike, or you're taking your dog for a walk, or you're doing some yoga, or you're going for a bike ride, something like that. You can really have a lot of fun with some of these prompts and have fun with it and get your students involved as well. There are some really great ways that you can promote that classroom environment, that positive classroom space. We want to have a positive mindset for our students and with our students in this virtual space. You can do that by having Flipgrid is a great resource for this, where you can have prompts for students to respond to with their video and have Flipgrid record their video. They can respond to other students. I really encourage you to keep that human interaction with your students. I think that's really important if you can do that with your co-op's permission first. I also think this is a great time for us to really embrace this teaching experience. We can do this, and be gracious with yourself during this time. Please make sure you're working alongside your mentor teacher and your students. There are tons of technology tools out there, and I have a link to a Wakelet that I'm going to put in the show notes here, where you can find ed tech tools that companies have gone out and they've made their pro versions free for teachers to use during this time. So there's a whole bunch out there. Another cool resource is Storyline Online, where they have celebrities reading books aloud, which is a lot of fun for your students to look into as well. And then professional, we want to remain a professional during this time. I know it can be very stressful. So let's talk about some ways that we can maintain those professional responsibilities. I encourage you to stay connected with your professional learning network, connect with peers, connect with administrators and teachers, hashtags that teachers are using so we can all learn better together. We truly are better together, friends. We can really make this an experience for us to grow and learn from. So I encourage you to do that. So get connected with your professional learning network. Learn and see what they're doing out there, what real teachers are doing in the classroom in this virtual space. I would even say ask if a virtual teacher needs help. I also have a few resources that I'm going to post on the show notes that you can find that my students created, a list of resources within each of the Danielson domains of instruction. So we have planning and prep, classroom environment, instruction, and professional responsibilities. So you can check some of those out over on the show notes at sfessich.com/50. If you listened in and you're like, oh, I love that Dr. Fessich did a webinar, I want to learn more about that too, head on over to the show notes. There's a link there for you to sign up so you can stay up to date when we do more webinars. Dr. McGee and I would love to do some more webinars with you guys. So please just stay tuned, pop your email address on that form, and you will get the latest information. We hope to be scheduling another one out by the end of this week. So friends, stay strong, stay safe. You got this. Remember, you have the edgy magic within you.
And there you have it, EduMagicians. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. For more EduMagic, check out sfessich.com and follow Dr. Sam on Twitter and Instagram at sfessich. Until next time, you have the EduMagic within you.